ladies and gentlemen, Coach Mike McCarthy.
Yeah,
Oh, Coach, you look amazing. I like the Kangol, but it's not a Kangol, it's a hat.
with a sticker on it.
Oh, wow.
Who's that behind you, Coach?
AJ Hawk. I mean, he made the request last week, so we accommodated him. When I got me an AJ Hawk microphone too. I'm just trying to follow AJ's lead here. So I'm trying to fit in around here.
AJ, what does that mean? You called for a photo of yourself behind Coach Mike McCarthy?
I sent a text. Actually, I sent a text while he was still on the show from my keyboard. I said, "Hey, Coach, you got to put a picture of me next time, please, in your background."
Hey, good photo, AJ there, Coach. Don't you think he should grow his hair back? Is that what he's doing right now, you think?
Yeah, no, it looks good. You have to ask Laura that. I'll stay out of that one.
Coach, that's a smart man.
Good
right?
coaching.
That's good coaching right there. Coach, obviously you have a lot of history in Green Bay. You're currently in Green Bay. Obviously the ties to Micah are very deep as well, with not only your connection at the Dallas Cowboys, but now he's potentially living in the neighborhood that you stay in currently. What are your thoughts on where the Green Bay Packers are right now? What are your thoughts on their debut against the Detroit Lions? And is there a buzz up there? I know you haven't been able to be around the city since you left, but is there a buzz in Green Bay like, hey, maybe this is a year the Packers can go on a run?
Oh, definitely. No, there's definitely a big buzz. I mean, everywhere I know I go, that's probably the first or second question is, how's Micah doing? And, how's he going to be here in Green Bay? So being at the game, definitely felt the buzz. I mean, just to hear him, when they announced and really I got a kick out of watching him, on the sidelines because he was, chomping at the bit. He was like a caged lion, getting ready to go in there. I think they played him around 30 plays but just, from the first time he got in, that first third down, the pressure, because, I mean, Micah has an effect. I mean, the defensive backs are definitely going to benefit from it in the defensive pass, and pass defense. And I think, definitely the other guys up front. But I was very impressed with the Packers. I thought they played at a really high level from the start of the game all the way through. And I was very impressed with their defensive front.
Are the Lions dead, Coach? Are the Lions absolutely dead out there? That's Foxy, who's a Detroit Lions fan, in the back going, in there. But whenever all this starts happening with all the turnover and change, and obviously you hope that you're able to just pick up right where you left off, is there growing pains? Like, what are your thoughts on the Detroit Lions after watching their game with the Packers?
Well, I'll say this, and we talked a little bit about this last week before the Cowboys and Eagles game. I mean, division games are the most important. They're the best games of the regular season. I've always loved the format of playing the division games at the end of the year. I thought when the league went to that 10 or 12 years ago, that was a great move. But division games in week one are a bitch. And I think it was, 9 of the 16 games in week one were division games. So that's a tough deal. And I think for especially opposing teams, going into that stadium week one. So, by no means are the Lions. I mean, it's their own one. I think that's just the reality of the situation. And, coming out of training camp, you got September football and things like that. But, the speed of the game is something you're always very conscious of as a coach. Play style, getting your play style established. The time clocks in both the run, protection, and the pass game are all things that, the details of that. But no, by no means Detroit will be fine.
Okay, I think Foxy likes to hear that. Yeah, absolutely.
Love that, Coach. And how hard is it to have a rookie lineman, a second-year guy that hasn't played that much on the line in the week one, and they didn't get any time in the preseason? How hard is that for a week one offense?
And should they play in the preseason? I think Foxy would like to know.
Yes, definitely want to know.
Well, I think the biggest thing is I'd say offensive linemen as a whole have the biggest challenge, coming out of training camp just from the pure training regiments. If you look at the way the off-season programs are established now, and definitely the amount of padded work you can have in training camp, but that's a big challenge. We had 2 rookie offensive linemen start last year, and the best thing that can happen to them is they practice every day, keep playing, get connected with the other guys, and that's no different than in Detroit or any of the other teams that are playing offensive linemen for the first time in year one. They got to be honest, they got to stay healthy. That's the most important thing. You have to go through it. It is week one. He'll be better off, forward as time goes on. But that's just part of the challenge in today's NFL.
I think that's happening tonight to Green Bay, right? There's going to be a couple of rookies out there.
Well,
it looks like it.
Second-year guy, one of them, but he didn't play much last year. So yeah, I mean, all intents and purposes, pretty much.
Too young offensive lineman on a
Right.
short week,
Yeah.
okay, against Detroit Lions defense and team that has been kind of counted out all week. You know, I wonder how it'll go for the Green Bay Packers offense. Did we know that you were going to be getting introduced back there? That was about this. We should have been sending congratulations that you're getting on it. Turn that up.
Well, I'm sorry. I failed to bring it up in the
Listen to
production
that
meeting.
place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, that had to be
That'll
sweet.
get old, that's for sure.
Yeah, tell us about it. What was that? You're just getting back?
Yeah, no, it was a celebration. This is the alumni weekend for the Packers, and I was invited to go as part of the Super Bowl 45 celebration. And obviously, a lot of guys weren't able to attend for the timing of it, but it was great. We had Saturday night. We had a dinner, a lot of laughs. I haven't laughed that hard and that long into the evening in quite some time. So that was a great time, and then just to hang out with the players from all the different generations and get to see guys we obviously haven't seen each other in quite some time. So it was really, I had a ton of fun, and then to be honest with you, I didn't know what to really expect with the halftime. I actually thought we were just going to walk out there and as a group and say hello, but that was obviously very, very special.
Okay, so, man, that had to feel so good getting out there. Well, that was a loud
God.
pop,
I mean,
Coach.
made-
That's a
yeah.
loud pop. The tip of the cap is the right play, too, by the way. I think that's good because it's more demonstrative. Everybody could see it. I think that's a good play by you.
Yeah.
Natural in the pocket right there. I think you did well.
Well, when the hair stands up on the back of your neck, you got to definitely acknowledge the crowd. I was blown away by it. It was definitely special.
Well
Very, very
earned,
special.
well deserved for a Yinzer out there in Green Bay. Go ahead, AJ.
Coach, after week one, I feel like a lot of these teams, a lot of fan bases freak out one way or the other. Like if a team lost, like, oh, we suck, we're done. And then there's some teams that get a big home victory and, some of their loudest fans are saying, hey, we're the best. This is the best team that's ever existed in Indianapolis right now. And they're going to make a run and go undefeated and win the Super Bowl. How do you kind of temper it either way, I guess, whether you win or lose week one? Like, how do you not overreact?
No, I think that's the part of our job as coaches and players. Just keep it about football, and that's where I think I know every team I've been a part of. That's why you grind the way you do, and that's why you schedule the way you schedule during the week and so forth. But yeah, that's obviously very normal. We understand it. You love the fans and their energy and so forth. But you got to keep things in perspective, especially now. I think it's a 17-game season. There's so much football that needs to be played, and then the fact that the Packers have 2 linemen out tonight is a great example why you're not going to overreact to a big game, a big NFC football game, and I know we'll talk about that here in a minute. But it's a long year, and you have to keep that in play here, and it's all about stacking success, and success sometimes early in the season doesn't always come with the final score.
Yeah, but with the way Indianapolis played, you could see how those people would be excited. You could see Danny Dimes.
Yeah.
He's putting the dimes in Danny
Quentin
Dimes.
Nelson.
Quentin Nelson leading, screaming, talking, motivating. Did you see that, AJ? Quentin Nelson's the vocal leader of this Indianapolis Colts team. Danny Dimes throwing a ball over the yard. We got a Sasquatch in the first round out of Ohio State. This guy's
He's
unbelievable.
a rookie and he's a savant already.
And the defense, don't even get me started. You know about Gabagool Anarumo. He's got a full charcuterie board. Wow.
Pies on in front of Danny Dimes now.
Yeah, Bortolini is snapping the ball out here. I mean, it's unbelievable. We got the squad. Now, Shane Steichen's job is to let all of them know that we haven't won shit yet, right? That is kind of what the coach's job and the messaging is. Or do you hope your culture is already established and everybody understands that after week one?
Well, culture never stays the same. So that's all part of the ride. It's all part of the development and the maintenance of it. So it's obviously great to have that energy. I recall you and I talking about Daniel Jones, during the draft. I'm excited for him. Did a lot of work on him back in 2019, and I'm just happy to see him have that success because I think he definitely could be a hell of a quarterback in our league.
He can run, brother. He can
Fast.
run. Nobody's talking about it.
And he can take a shot.
Helmet to helmet, first quarter, who cares? Gets right up. Wow, that was a pretty big little shot there. Am I going to flex? No flex. Don't
Nah,
need one.
needs it.
Don't need one. Ty has a question for you, Coach.
Coach, you mentioned
Okay.
Micah Parsons was kind of chomping at the bit on Sunday to get out there.
if you're the head coach of the Packers, if you're Matt LaFleur, how do you handle, how many snaps he's going to get tonight? You mentioned, 45%. I think he played 29 of the 65 defensive plays. How difficult is that when you have a game like this, on prime time and everything, and also he's going to affect the game, but you also understand, hey, we have a lot more we want to accomplish here, and maybe I don't need to be putting him out there on every single third down to get after Jayden Daniels.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for Matt is to just stick to his plan. I mean, he's going to obviously have a play count plan going into the game, and I think obviously make sure you have plenty of time for the fourth quarter, to adjust that, make sure that plan accommodates that because, trust your people too. I mean, sports science will obviously tell you you got to listen to it. It's week 2, coming off of a short week. Obviously, didn't have much time in training camp. So you just got to be smart. And hey, if you tell Micah 20, he's going to want 30. If you tell him 30, he's going to want 40. So I just think the most important thing is stick to the plan. And I think Micah knows that. I'm
excited to see Micah get out there and get after it. Third down's got to be out there.
Oh, yeah.
Has to be.
I mean, third downs, he has to be out there, especially with Jayden now.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think that you go to the first third down in the game. I mean, when he came onto the field, the crowd erupted and, and he had a defensive pressure, affected the time clock. So, yeah, definitely. I mean, situationally, I think you'll definitely see him there.
Defensively, what do you do against Jayden? Are you trying to get the middle of the pocket? Or are you trying to keep him in pocket? We're trying to keep him in there. He's got to.
Well, you got to keep him in there. You got to keep him in there. Number one, you got to set the edges. Speed to pyre with the anchor. But he is really good at A and B gaps. His A and B gap escape is, for a young guy, as good as I've seen. I mean, Aaron, to me, was the best that I've seen, and he did it forever from 2008 all the way through. But that A and B gap release you saw last week on the Thursday night with Jalen Hurts. I mean, these guys that can step up and slide through the A and B gaps and make big plays. That's going to be the huge challenge for Green Bay's defensive line. I thought those guys played exceptional. I thought that the defensive line for the Packers, all the way across, played well. But they got to keep him in the pocket, especially the rushing yards that he can produce. And I think he's being very smart and selective when he does run too. And all the way around, this is an offense that's going to move the ball. Ball distribution is excellent, but his ability to run is second level. On top of this guy can make all the throws too now. So he is a young, special quarterback.
Let's talk about Cliff Kingsbury. Obviously, he had some hype around becoming a head coach. He's the offense coordinator for the Washington Commanders last year. Obviously, sensational year with the rookie quarterback in Jayden Daniels. Maybe the best of all time whenever it comes to a rookie quarterback, especially if they were able to go on the run that we all thought they were going to be able to go on. This year, only getting better, it seems. What is he like as a play caller? Do you do a diagnosis of all other play callers, or how do you kind of judge other guys that are making play calls?
Well, first of all, like I said, you got 4 really good play callers in up this week. So I thought both Matt and Hafley called a very good game in week 1 for the Packers, and same with Joe Witt and Cliff here for Washington. So I think all the way, I know that's what I'm going to be watching, but yeah, I think Cliff does an exceptional job getting the ball distributed. I mean, their perimeter, they got playmakers throughout the perimeter. And the thing I've always looked at is the number of rushes versus completions. And, Washington, I think, was probably 82% of their plays last week were either rushed or completed. And I think the Packers was even higher, probably 87%. But, they both didn't have big numbers of total plays, but they do a really good job getting the ball distributed, both Jordan Love and Jayden.
82% rush and completion percentage for the Washington Commanders, probably more for the Packers. What is like a winning number there? Is that a stat that you rely
above
on?
75%? Yeah, something. I mean, as a goal. I mean, a goal as an offense, we always would talk about 72 plays. Our goal is if we get 72 cracks at the defense, we are going to have a huge day. So obviously, time of possession, it benefits your whole football team, field position, keeping your defense off the field. Obviously, taking care of the ball is a priority, but on a 72-play game, 75% of that would be 55. 55 was the golden number. If you had rushes plus completions, it was 55 or more. You're going to have a big day on offense. So the fact that they didn't have a lot of total plays last week, which happens, the kind of games that they were in, but the fact that is their efficiency on offense, both for Washington and Green Bay was really high.
Well, if you can get 55 out of 72, that's obviously dependent upon the speed, power anchoring of the defensive line.
No.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot.
There you go.
There you go. A guy you made a lot of magic with, obviously, on the offensive side of the ball, Aaron Rodgers, now started his brand new era in your hometown of Pittsburgh. Go ahead, Tone.
Yeah, Coach, I don't know if you've seen, no big deal. Aaron is leading the league in touchdowns. That's 4 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. How did you think the first game for Aaron went, and how do you think him and Artie Smith kind of went through the game together?
I think it went just like his whole career is gone, touchdowns versus interceptions. I mean, it's just amazing, his discipline, in decision making. But no, I thought he looked very comfortable. I thought he just, played to the tempo of the offense. I mean, the only negative was the sacks, but I mean, he just has to get a feel for those guys because, as I touched on earlier, the A and B gap release in the pass game. I mean, that's a huge strength of his. So, but yeah, I thought those guys, I thought they definitely looked on the same page, and he looked really comfortable in the offense.
Yeah, and he was happy to get a win against the Jets. Yes, I'll tell you that.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. Yeah, he was pretty pumped up about it, brother. Connor has a question for you, Mike.
Yeah, Coach, young quarterback. I won't say rookie. We've been saying rookie, but it was his first career start, and he missed his entire rookie year. J.J. McCarthy in prime time. He had about 2.5, 3 quarters of absolute shites, but then he turned it on, turned the whole game around and ended up winning for the Vikings. What did you think about his first performance? Did you expect kind of a slow start and then for him to settle in? And when you were a coach and you were dealing with quarterbacks, whether it was their first year or first start or, first start with a new team, was there any advice you would give some of the younger quarterbacks, some tricks of the trade maybe while you were coaching some of those younger guys?
Yeah, I'll just work backwards first. I think you definitely coach it. You definitely want your guys to, make that first impression when you do have the rookie quarterback. I just remember one story. We had Alex Smith in San Francisco, and Mike Nolan wanted to make sure he made a huge impression on the offensive guys in the first mini camp. So we had spent a bunch of time with him, prior to that mini camp. And then when he first stepped in the huddle, you can almost look at the other quarterbacks because he, technically wasn't on campus at that time. So when he stepped in the huddle and was able to communicate very well, that he definitely made that first impression. So it's something that you're very, very cognizant of, and as you go through it gives the young man an opportunity to really express himself, and that's really what I would go to is be yourself within your personality. But the command is critical for the offense, and especially for young quarterbacks. And going back to the first part of the question, I didn't see the early part of the game. Frankly, I actually when I got home, I actually saw all the good stuff for Minnesota, and I just think back on my conversation up there. I went to the Michigan Pro Day 2 years ago when JJ and that whole group was coming out, and it just made me think of all the things that have been said about him, all the great things that have been said about him this week. I had a conversation with Jack Harbaugh, Mr. Jack Harbaugh, and I think anytime Mr. Jack or Mrs. Jackie Harbaugh speak, I always listen. And Mr. Harbaugh was just talking about how the kid is loved by everybody in the university. He would play baseball with his grandson up at the indoor facility in the winter, but I mean, he's just that guy. He was that guy at Michigan, and and that always plays well in the leadership role in the locker room with your teammates and so forth. So it was nice to see him get off. Not get off to that start, but have those kind of moments in a game, because that's now that's a standard that I know he will hold himself to, and obviously that's a big day for the Minnesota Vikings.
Jack Harbaugh, who's got it better than us?
Nobody.
And then you think about Jim Harbaugh being JJ's coach, the amount of things that he has said in leadership and framing and mentality. And then the story comes out about JJ in the huddle saying, "Is there anywhere else you'd rather be, boys?" Yeah, that's what I thought. A little Jack Harbaugh in him. Mm-hmm. Maybe a little Jim Harbaugh in him throughout its entirety. It was fun to watch him. Okay, tonight, 3.5 point spread. Coach Mike McCarthy. Now, you didn't make an official pick last week. You won't make an official pick this week. But you leaned heavily into an undefeated start in picking games. Just want to let you know that. 3.5 points is what Washington is getting in Lambeau. If you were a friend of yours, like let's say, I don't know if you consider us friends, but let's say me.
Yeah.
Okay, and you were to be advising me on how you think this game goes, what would your prediction of the game be if that was the case?
Well, I definitely got to put everything out here. You know, I'm technically a fan this year, so I got 3 teams I'm really rooting for as a fan. You know, Pittsburgh, Green Bay, and Dallas. So those are the 3 teams I'm really watching closely. But as a pure teammate of your show, I think number one, this is going to be a hell of an NFC game. And not too many times, you know, especially when you think about it as a player coach, they go, man, you know, week 2 could have playoff implications. And, you know, I think this game, when you look at Washington, you know, you think about, you know, NFC Championship game, you got a playoff team, an older team, an established team. I really liked the way they played in week 1. I thought they established their play style. I thought they were fast. I thought they were physical. I mean, you know what you're going to get. And but also being there live, watching Green Bay last week, you know, I think I was really, really impressed with their team speed and the way they were flying around. I love Jordan Love, especially early in the game. I thought Matt did an excellent job sticking with the run, you know, after they struggled a little bit in the first half. So, I mean, this is going to be about stopping the run. I think both teams are definitely going to have to stop the run. Green Bay's going to have to keep Jayden, you know, and keep his rushing yards down to have success. But it's at Lambeau Field, and I think it's going to be a great night for the green and gold.
Okay. Boom. All right. We appreciate that. We will read into that exactly how I think Tone was reading into that to make himself feel a little bit better. We appreciate the hell out of you, Coach. Thanks for the AJ Hawk photo in the back. Thanks for the great lighting. You look cool again. I mean, you're really crushing it for us.
Just trying to fit in. I got to get some black shirts, it looks like, but trying to fit in. Trying to hang out with the guys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's a good call.
Great call, Coach.
That's observance.
It definitely helped me a little bit. Let's be honest.
I'm not saying that. That was you. That was not me.
Get mom on the internet.
Ladies and gentlemen, Super Bowl winning coach, Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, go!